Normally I'm doing reviews on fat tire bikes, upgrades to bikes, making things have more power from 500 watts to 750 to 1000 watt or even more. But today I've got something a little bit different to show you. So this bike is called the E-City, and like I said, it's a little bit different than what I normally mess with, which are fat tire bikes with more power. But there's a good reason I'm showing you these. See, the manufacturer reached out to me because I deal with them on other products, and they said, hey, we've got a warehouse full of these in the US and we want to sell them. So the truth is, they want more space for other bikes, and because of that, they're willing to give me a really good deal, which of course I'm going to pass on to you. So stick around, because if you hadn't considered a city step-through bike before, you might after I tell you what the price is. Now I've pulled it out of the box from right here and just quickly assembled it. Let me give you a rundown on the bike and what it includes. You might notice, hey, there's not a hub motor back there. So a little bit less power, like I said, but you do get a really nice 250 watt mid-drive motor. Now, my personal opinion is that a mid-drive motor is going to be better than a comparable wattage of a hub motor. So let me clarify that a little bit. If you took a 250 watt hub motor bike and try and go up a hill, it's not going to perform as well as a 250 watt mid-drive bike, because you can shift down into your lowest gear specifically for that hill, and then once you get up and on top of it, you can then shift back up into a higher gear for a higher top speed. So a mid-drive performs better, in my opinion, than a hub motor of the same wattage. So once again, this has a 250 watt mid-drive motor and pretty standard shifter and gears. You've got Shimano components on here. Nothing too fancy. You've got a grip shifter here, and you do have a throttle here. I'll have to explain the throttle in a bit because it does something a little bit different than normal. And you've got your buttons on here, and you've got a pretty standard display. Some people might recognize this as a 965 display used on some of the BB SHD or SO2 motors. So same display, just a different brand name printed on it. We've got mechanical brakes. I notice I didn't say mechanical disc brakes like a lot of bikes come with. We've got something different. Got the integrated bell like a lot of the bikes have. We actually have some caliper brakes on here. Keep in mind, it is a city bike, so it's not really made to go super fast or at high speeds. It's made for general cruising around town, and it's got a drum brake, which should be good for overall long-term reliability. So drum brake in the back. You've got the older style calipers, which are still perfectly good. A lot of people still use these and swear by those older style of brakes. And a couple other unique things. Right here, you'll notice something odd. That's actually a built-in lock. You can buy things like that aftermarket, but I thought that was kind of cool that there's actually a lock for the rear wheel built into the bike. So that was already installed when the bike shows up. Same goes for the rear rack. We've got the battery installed in the rack. You've got a button for your lights there. Of course, you can check your battery level on the display, but it's kind of nice to have that accessible. And of course, the battery is locked in place as well, so you can't just pop that battery out. Another thing I thought was pretty handy is this stem. You've got a little button on the side here. If you release that, you can pop this up. You can rotate the handlebars backwards and forwards. You can lift the bars up and down, so a lot of adjustment for those bars on the front. And it does have a headlight, which I need to adjust that up a little bit. And you've got a tail light, just a battery operated tail light, but hey, it comes with lights, front and rear standard. That's kind of nice as well. Pretty standard stuff on here. You've got a nice heavy duty quick release. There's nothing too unusual that sticks out about this bike to me. It looks like your pretty standard city bike. I think if somebody wanted to pick up a small fleet of rental bikes, these would be awesome. Not too much power for people who haven't ridden a bike before. I'm gonna go take it on some hills around here outside real quick and see, you know, how does it do? With the mid-drive motor, that's gonna help a lot, but definitely less power than other bikes. Like I said though, for the price, it's right. And of course, fenders, I didn't mention those. Those come standard. So it really has everything you need for a city bike other than just putting a bag of some sort on the back to haul things. Thankfully, it's a nice sunny day out. The rain has stopped, giving us a little break for today. Another thing I noticed, I've been having people ask me about tires and puncture resistance. These do come with the K-Shield, thorn protection, whatever you want to call it. And they do have that, if you can see it in the sun, they do have that reflective stripe around the tire. So that's pretty good, I think, for a city bike where you're going to be running over a lot of nails and other junk on the side of the road. I think it's nice that they included those as well. But let's go ahead and hop on the bike and see how she rides. Just hold the power button down for a few seconds to get it turned on. And there's our pedal assist level. It's programmed for 6 levels of pedal assist. And if we press that middle button, we can see the time, riding time, odometer, average speed, max speed, you know, the basic stuff that this screen displays. The only thing I wish this screen in particular displayed that it doesn't would be battery voltage. I like to know exactly what the voltage is. Most people probably never pay attention to that. Might not be a deal breaker by any means, but that is something that I prefer that it doesn't have. Just something this particular display doesn't have. Now, the first thing I gotta point out is I'm moving along pretty good right now, and I'm not using the motor at all yet. For an electric bike, it feels relatively light. Now I'm going uphill. Of course, we're getting heavier. Okay, let's turn some power on. There we go. Let's turn all of it on. Whoa. Little jolt. Okay, there we go. Now I gotta admit, off-road mountain bikes or fat bikes are more my thing, but it's really smooth. It feels really light for an electric bike. I feel like on reasonably flat ground, you could pedal this bike and it doesn't feel bad at all. You notice the weight when you get to a hill. I'm pedaling a little bit right now, but it's not bad. I think this is the type of bike you could cruise around town on, and if you live in a reasonably flat area, I wouldn't be too concerned about the battery dying, because you could shift down a little bit and you could keep pedaling right along. And in fact, I'm running the tires at a lower pressure. They're rated for around 50 to 85 PSI. So if you pumped them up more, I'm closer to 50 PSI, this thing would roll even easier. So as far as how easy it is to ride, how quickly it moves, feels really, really nice. Cruising along 11, 12 miles an hour right now. I'm not really putting any effort in. I'm just faking it. Okay, it's reasonably flat right here, so let's get pedaling and see how fast it wants to go. Well, rather than me telling you, let me turn around here and just show you. I'm gonna spin around. Got a nice long flat stretch. I'm already in the highest gear. And here we go. Pedal assist on, not using the throttle. And that's about as fast as you'd probably want to spin. So about 20 miles an hour. That's about what it'll do. So flat, into a pretty decent headwind going back this direction, and we're cruising along at 15, 16 miles an hour. And I feel like for this type of bike, that's what it's made for. So I gotta be honest, I didn't think I was really gonna like this bike, but it works pretty well. I'm actually really happier with it than I thought I'd be. So there you go. I like a city bike. It's not a fat bike. It's not a mountain bike. And I still like it. Now, I haven't been using the throttle, you may have noticed, and that's because of how it's programmed from the factory. I don't know why it's this way, but it is. So I'm going to call this a pedal assist bike because if you push the throttle, it actually functions like a walk mode. So that's right, there is a thumb throttle, but it doesn't actually give you full throttle. So I think you'd actually get a little more power out of this guy if it was programmed that way. So I guess in a good way, if you want a throttle, it's just a matter of reprogramming it. But in a bad way, I would have preferred that the way it comes. So you can buy a $20 Bafang programming cable, you can change that, but just be aware that the way the bike comes, the throttle operates as a walk mode. Let's put this kickstand up here. And so if you push this, it goes, but it really is just a slow, I walk alongside, and that's all that it does. If I was going to change one thing on the bike, that would probably be it. Not a deal breaker because it doesn't go that fast anyway, and it's only a 36-volt battery, not a huge capacity, so realistically using throttle would drain your battery power down anyway. So I would say they did that for a reason. It makes sense. For me personally, I'd probably change it because I like having the throttle. It has a battery powered headlight on the front, and we've got mechanical brakes front and rear. We do have a display which gives us some of the basic information that we need to know. There's a throttle there, but it's only as a walk function, and we do have an integrated lock right here. I like that. Makes it quick and easy if you're just going to leave it for a minute. So that's why you have two sets of keys, one to remove the battery, one to lock the bike in place. I mean, it is not terribly heavy, so somebody could just pick it up and walk away with it if they really wanted to, but you know, one, they'd have to try, and two, I don't know if this particular bike would be number one on the theft list for e-bikes. Maybe not. And we do have the adjustable stem here, so you can lift the bars up and out, so that's kind of nice. So here's the deal. Originally this bike was $1,500 plus the cost of shipping, so $1,500 plus whatever it costs to get it to your door. But because they have a bunch of these and they want them gone, they've offered them to me for a really good deal. So I'm gonna turn around and sell these for $9.99 delivered in the 48 states. So less than $1,000 for a mid-drive city bike. You just can't get that anywhere else. So if you're interested in one of these, I would definitely recommend snagging one before they're gone, because once they're gone, they're gone. They're not gonna be offered anymore. So once again, that's $9.99 delivered in the lower 48 states. So that's pretty awesome. Of course, there'll be sales tax in California if you're here in California where I am, but still a great deal no matter what. If you're interested in a city bike or a spare, or you want a small rental fleet, I would grab these up before I don't have any more. Thanks for watching. Make sure to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, because you'll see good information on electric bikes, awesome deals on occasion like this when I have them available, and whatever other good content I can put out for you. Let me know if you guys have any questions. I will see you in another video soon.